Welcome back, everybody. We are here in our front yard garden, just enjoying a cup of coffee, and I want to talk to you today about the most important part of gardening. In the past 19 years, we've been gardening for almost every year, all our time. We grew up in the family, both me and my wife, where gardening was important. We're originally from Ukraine. Everybody had a garden. It was part of life, something you relied on to survive, to live off back in the Soviet Union times. So gardening has been a big part of our life, and for us, over 19 years, we've learned other aspects that are important in gardening. And especially this year, when we planted our new garden here, we've noticed one thing that really kind of changed our approach to what we're doing, and I want to talk to you about it. And before I do that, I'll just give you a quick look around what's going on in this garden and touch bases on what's growing and give you a little tour on it. All right, so this is our garden here. This is a garden that we started this year. It's been growing here. We've had actually trees here and grass. So we've built some boxes, and this is, they're about 17 inches tall out of black locust. And this garden here is doing really well. We have different vegetables. Way too many zinnias flowers are growing in here, but overall this garden has been doing better than we've expected, and it has taught us one thing, which is the importance of soil. So that's the subject I want to touch base today, and it's about soil. One of the most important part in gardening is the dirt that you plant this in, and I'll show you what we have here. This is basically the soil that we have in here, and you can see how fluffy this is. We have wood chips in here and dirt or compost, but what we've learned from this year's subject or this year's gardening experience is that soil is the most important part of gardening. So as I mentioned, the soil here is the most important part of the garden. For us, having good soil, having healthy dirt here is what keeps the plants growing. If you have good soil, you won't need to water it as much. You will not need to add other fertilizers or anything else into the beds or the gardens, because they will be just producing really well for you. Where do we get our soil? Basically, we try to create soil or create the medium as much as possible on our own spot or our own yard here. We have wood chips here that we added, and in combination with soil that we removed from our chickens. So what we do is we have wood chips that we add to our chicken area where they live and sleep and poop and eat, and we add all the grass clippings, basically all the house waste. It's a big compost area, you can pretty much call it that, but everything helps the wood chips break up. They compost, and then in a year or more, like a year and a half to 2 years, we will remove about a foot of that soil from there and fill it into our beds. We noticed that this year the beds here are doing much better than what we have in our other garden, and the only difference we have here is the soil. We add compost, we add wood chips 2 times a year at least, or between each planting. So every time we plant, we add wood chips and we add compost. Most of the compost we try to, like I said, have it at our own spot, at our own place. We did get a truckload of compost from a city, from our local city here, that was leaf compost, and I honestly was not really happy with it. Basically what it was is there was a lot of rocks, a lot of plastics. You know, they used a sweeper to sweep up all the leaves, and then they would compost it, and they actually gave it away for free. So I mean, it's good if you're adding it just to like your lawn, but I would not do it again to our garden here or to our garden beds. Maybe under like trees, it would be okay as well, or flower beds, but not into garden beds. The best way to do it is wood chips obviously is a must for us. We've been doing it for years now, but you cannot do wood chips alone. You have to have manure or high nitrogen compost. That's why we have chickens. They produce high nitrogen compost that we can add to the woods. I mean the wood chips. You also want to have your wood chips break up. Don't add them fresh. So we let them sit on a pile probably a year to 2 years, and as they start breaking up, we start adding them to our garden beds. There's the other thing is, you know, finding a local nursery or a local farm that you can trust, that is an organic farm that will be able to get you either manure that you can add or clippings, you know, that's gonna be weed free. That's very important. Even with wood chips, I recommend that you find a supplier that, or somebody that you know, that will give you an honest delivery or honest information on wood chips. We had a wood chip drop once that had a bunch of ivy, and one of our garden areas here, we've been fighting that ivy for 2 years now, just because the wood chips in it had ivy and we did not know about it. And there's also other things that you want to pay attention. Some wood chippers or tree guys that have wood chips, they have chippers that produce larger chips. Takes longer time to compost, takes longer time to break up. I prefer it that they're nice and small like this. That way they are easier to compost, they break up faster, and there's more soil in between the chips that can or will help the sprouts of the new plants, and the roots will be able to get in there faster. So kind of going on and on about wood chips here, but wood chips is one way that you can create soil. It takes years, it takes time to do it, but if you're a new gardener, or even if you've been gardening like for a while like we have, I strongly recommend that you start looking for a source of wood chips, source of manure that you can use in your garden, and combining everything, not just one thing. It's a combination. You have to have wood chips, you have to have manure, you have to have compost, and the more you plant, the more you need to add. So, you know, this garden here is doing really well. I mean, these bell peppers, all of our zucchini, our flowers, our eggplants, everything is just doing really, really well in comparison to our other garden that we have, which is doing great as well, but not as good as this place. So we've noticed that having good soil is very important. I mean, we always kind of knew that, but I think it just kind of, this garden here drove the point even more for us this year than before. So invest time. If you're a new gardener, invest time into your soil. Obviously if you've been gardening for a while, it's never too late to invest time into the soil. We add, I don't know how many truckloads of wood chips we've added to our gardens. I don't know how many truckloads of compost. I mean, it's been trucks and truckloads of compost and wood chips that we've been adding and adding and adding on annual basis to our gardens, and they're still flat. They're, you know, they might be a couple inches taller, but it just decomposes, and it just disappears. As surprising as it might seem, that the soil disappears, all the nutrients, everything that you add in there, the plants take them up, and you know, they do disappear. I mean, the worms and every little organism, living organism that's in here helps the plants, and the healthier the soil is, the healthier your plants are. So if you want healthy plants, and not only healthy as looking or growing, but nutritious as well, you want to have nutritious soil. Everything goes back to the soil, to the root, where the roots are, to feed the plants. So that's kind of a quick rundown on the most important part of gardening for us, what it is and what it takes to make a good, healthy, livable soil, livable bed that's gonna produce good harvests and will give you a good results for all the hard work that you put it in. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Follow our channel, like the video, and we'll be back with more videos about our garden and what's happening and how it's growing.